welcome to the Pilates Mat Class. I am going to guide you through a basic Pilates Mat Class, just like the one I usually teach every Tuesday morning. This one will be a little quicker though, because I'm going to do about 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys will all have time to do 30 minutes at home. We're going to start back onto our back. Our feet are parallel, heels are lined up with your sit bones, and your hands are down by your side. I'm just going to start by rocking your pelvis a little bit. So just rocking forward and back and forth so you feel an imprinted spine, and then you feel this arch form between the low back and the mat. And just rocking back and forth to get the pelvic mobility, get some movement in your lumbar spine. And then I want you to rock back into that imprint and stay in that imprint. Now focus on your breath up high in the rib cage. Deep breath up high. Exhale, forcing every ounce of air out of your lungs. Inhaling. Exhaling, ideally in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I want you to keep that imprinted spine. On your next exhale, you're going to peel your spine up and lift your hips up off the floor, and then roll your spine right back down. Ideally, you are articulating through your spine, so just peeling up one vertebrae at a time, and then rolling down at a time. If this bothers the low back and you don't want to move the discs in the lumbar spine, you can just maintain neutral and lift up, and then lower back down. To still strengthen the back of the thighs, activate those glutes, get a little bit of extension in the low back, and then resting down. Now on the next one, I want you to rock back into that imprint, take a deep breath, exhale, lift the hips up, and then hold up here. Press the toes to the floor, squeeze your glutes, reach your arms long, really focus on the back of the thighs here, lift the hips a little bit higher if you can, and then if you can, roll down one vertebrae at a time, but again, you can always just lower down stiff and flat. Now I want you to rock your pelvis to neutral. I know a lot of times people don't really know what neutral is, but neutral spine is referred to the position that your spine is when you are standing up vertical on your feet. So it would be here, since we're on our back, hip bones and puke bone is on the same plane, and the front of your pelvis is parallel with the floor behind you, and that forms a natural curve in your low back here. And everybody's curve is a little different. So hands are down by your side, and we're going to maintain neutral as you bring your legs up to tabletop position. And you're going to do some alternating toe taps. One leg lowers, lift up, other leg lowers and lift up. Now you can keep alternating one leg at a time if you want. If you could work a little harder, glue the legs together, and then both legs lower and lift. Still keeping that same stiff bend in the knees, still keeping the same position in your pelvis and your lumbar spine. You don't want the back to arch higher up when the feet go down and then imprint when the legs come up. We don't want to tuck those knees into your chest. You just come to a tabletop 90-degree bend. Maintain that 90-degree bend with the legs as you're moving through the hip joint. Just do one more. Bring the legs up to tabletop and hold it. Still maintaining neutral here. We're going to do some ab curls. So now the upper spine curls up. You flex up, look into the belly, and then rest head and shoulders back down. Exhale, curling up. Inhale, resting down. Do one more, curling up, and let's curl up and stay curled up. So all those other exercises were considered preps, because now the real work begins. We're going to start the 100. You're going to lengthen the legs out to straight, keep them straight, stay curled up, and start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5 counts. The pumping with the arms is in your shoulders. Really think longer arms reaching like you're trying to touch the bottom edge of your mat. Try to stay curled up as high as you can. Inhaling 5 counts, exhaling 5 counts. Think about squeezing the glutes, tightening your thighs, trying to get longer, straighter legs. You can do tabletop legs, and you can do this with head and shoulders down if you need to. Try to curl up a little bit higher if you can. This is our last 10 count. Now after you exhale, hold everything still, curl up a little bit higher, and then rest back down. Now lengthen both legs down onto the floor just to give yourself an easy stretch. Reach those arms back, lift the rib cage, and then bring your hands down by your side. You're going to keep one leg down onto the floor, keep it strong, reaching through the toes. Both legs are going to hopefully be straight. You can, it's okay if you have tight hamstrings, have a little bend in the knee, but try to keep it straight. And we're doing leg circles now. So you're going to draw that leg down and around and pull back up. Our goal here is to keep your pelvis stable, hip bones facing the ceiling. If this bothers the low back at all, you could do the lower leg with a bend in it and just draw smaller circles if you needed to. So this one is a good one to teach that pelvic stability, core strength too. Even though it looks like we're just working our legs, your abs have to be so tight and strong so that nothing in your upper body moves. And while your arms are on the floor, hopefully you're pressing them downward into the mat, pressing the shoulders to the floor. Now hold the leg to the ceiling, not with your hands over. You're going to go in the opposite direction. And when we're reversing the direction, try to reach out through the heels this time so your feet are flexed. That'll force a deeper stretch into the back side of that circling leg. Use your breath too. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. 2 more circles in this direction. I know we did a little bit more in that other direction. When you bring the leg to the ceiling, grab on, pull the straight leg towards you. Keep the foot flexed if you can to deepen the stretch, and pull the leg in. Still maintaining that long line through your spine, because a lot of times when we pull it in, we try to lift up or curl into the leg, but just keep head and shoulders down and pull the leg in. You can do the same thing on the other side. Reach to the toes, opposite leg as long as straight, and then start your circle. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Now you have to keep control here in your pelvis, so we're only moving through the hip joint of that circling leg. Nothing in your torso is moving. Remember, your arms are strong, your abs are tight and pulled in. Keep that lower leg still a working leg. This exercise looks easy, but it's hard to maintain control. When you bring the leg up, pause for a moment, flex both feet, and go in the opposite direction. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. You could always draw the smaller circles in the ceiling if you needed to. Remember, you could keep that lower leg bent if you needed to. Never hold your breath. We'll do 2 more in this direction. And when you bring that leg to the ceiling, grab on and pull it in for a stretch. Try and keep it straight as you pull in. Keep your head down, keep the shoulders down. Pull it in a little deeper, and then you can take a little break. So we're going to come back to the bent knees. We're going to go back to the bridging like you did before, but we're going to add leg kicks to it. So parallel feet on the floor again. Feet are about 3-inch distance apart. So heels are lined up with your sit bones. Hands by your side, bridge up. So you lift your hips up. One leg kicks to the ceiling, bring it down, kick the other leg to the ceiling. Now you're trying to keep your pelvis level so that we're not dipping the hip of that kicking leg, because it is losing support underneath it. So you got to tell that lower leg to work extra hard and tell your obliques to work hard to help keep the pelvis level. Remember, your arms are still long, pressing down. One leg kicking to the ceiling, lower leg pushing harder down into the floor. After you do your last kick, I want you to have both feet on the floor, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine back down into your imprint. Hold that imprinted spine. We're going to do another set of bridging, but a little different. This time, get your hips up, hold it. Kick a leg to the ceiling, keep it straight. You're going to flex the foot as you lower, kick the leg back up. Flex, lower the leg halfway, point as you go up. Try to keep the hips up, keeping your pelvis level again. Inhale as you lower, exhale, lift. 2 more. Then you're going to rest on that leg, keep the hips up. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Lower and lift. Inhaling and exhaling, flexing and pointing. The flex and point is just to add to the coordination. Always going to the full body scan, think about every muscle group is working hard. You can go ahead and rest on the foot, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll down until you rest. So we're going to do some roll-ups. Legs are down onto the floor. Arms are straight up to the ceiling. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears. So before you begin your roll-up, you want to activate your core by pulling the bottom ribs towards your hips. Also pull up on your pelvic floor. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, head, shoulders come up, and you stretch all the way up over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight, and then roll back down. 1 vertebrae down at a time. Arms up, take a deep breath. Exhale, peeling up. Stretching out over the legs. Stack up tall, and then rolling back down. Shoulders always stay down, your abs are tight and pulled in. Try squeezing the legs together, stacking up, and then rolling down. We'll do 1 more. Stretch a little further if you can to get that hamstring stretch. Stack up, not just to make it a little harder, We're gonna do the slowest roll down possible. Still gluing the legs together, tilt your pelvis, slowly falling down, just a little bit. So you wanna get to a point where your low back touches the floor, and then we're just gonna hold it. Keep your arms reaching, keep your abs tight and pulled in, really focus on the transverse abdominals, pulling in deeper, reach longer arms, go down a little lower, and then you can finally rest with head and shoulders to the floor. Now bring your hands down by your side. Now we're gonna do roll over. So roll over is kind of just the opposite of that exercise you did before. If you have a wall behind you, make sure you scoot down so you don't kick it. You're gonna bring your legs to the ceiling, legs are straight up. Do this with flexed feet too. It stretches out the back of the legs a little more. Again, it's okay if you have tight hamstrings. This exercise is really tricky because you need flexibility in the back of the legs, flexibility in your low back, and strength in your abs. So hands are down by your side. You're gonna use your abs to pick your hips up and bring your legs overhead so your knees are right in front of your face. Take a deep breath in and then slowly roll back down, one vertebrae down at a time. We're gonna do that again, but we're gonna add a step to it. So take a deep breath, legs come overhead. Hold the legs overhead, open the legs shoulder width apart. Keep them shoulder width apart as you roll your spine back down. Now it is very hard to roll your spine down slow without your head coming up off the floor. Once your hips are down, draw the legs together. We're gonna do it again. Legs come overhead, open the legs, only shoulder width apart, and then slowly rolling your spine back down into your rest. Legs are together. Hold the legs together, take a deep breath, legs overhead. Hold for the breath, and then exhale, rolling back down. After you rest your hips back down on the floor, you can bend your knees in, hug them in, give yourself a little break. We're gonna go through our ab series now. So this is 5 exercises I would do in a row, and if you like it, you could pause the video and do it again right after. So we're gonna hold the legs to tabletop, curl up, look into the belly. The curl up, the flexion in your spine is optional. You can do the whole thing with your head and shoulders down, but if you can, stay curled up, hug one knee in, your other leg lengthens straight, and then you switch. Think force in the air out of the lungs too. Every time you lengthen that leg out to straight, your shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Trying not to grip into your neck. I know it's hard for a lot of people to not grip into your neck. Now hold the legs together, keeping them glued together. This double leg stretch. Both legs go forward as your arms reach back, and then you come back to center. You reach, and then you come back into your little ball. Everything opens up, but keep those legs glued together. Inhaling and exhaling. So as your arms reach back overhead, the weight of the arms wants to pull your upper spine down. You don't want to go down and up with each one. The goal is to stay flexed up as your arms reach back. But remember, head down on the floor is a modification, so if you want, just put your head down and keep it down. Do one more, and then hold it center. Now scissor kicks is next. One leg comes towards your face, one straight leg falls to the floor, and then you switch. If you want to focus more on that stretch, you could tug the leg in twice when it comes to you. And use your arms to pull that leg in. Another challenge too that I give people when we're in mat class is if you really want to focus on more core strength and the flexibility here, just reach your arms long and stay curled up as you scissor kick the legs. Really focus on trying to keep the legs long and straight, your abs tight and pulled in. Now let's bring both legs to the ceiling and rest down head and shoulders to the floor. So this one, with your legs straight up to the ceiling, try to keep the low back in neutral. If you like imprint, you feel imprint, you're happy with it, maintain it as the legs lower and lift. If you want to challenge the muscles in the back, find your neutral, hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane, feel that natural curve in the low back, and now both legs lower and lift without moving the pelvis or the lumbar spine. So both legs lower, both legs lift. You can do this with the flexion too in your spine, where you curl up, look into the belly, and lower and lift the legs. But wherever your spine is in the start position, it should not move from that position as the legs go down and up. Lower and lift. You know, it's so hard to pull those legs back up to the ceiling. Do one more. Hold the legs up, bend them to tabletop now. Bring your hands together behind your head, curl up, look into the belly. This is crisscross. So you're twisting towards the bent leg, opposite leg reaching long, and then you switch. This is not meant to be super fast, because the slower you move with Pilates, the harder you work. Try to curl up a little bit higher. Keep elbows wide so not wrapping around your head. Pulling the belly in deeper. And as you rotate, think wringing the air out of the lungs. Now you're going to twist to one side and hold it. So just hold the rotation, curl up higher, reach for a longer leg, and then switch to the other side and hold it. Curl up a little bit higher, still breathing, and then come back to center and rest down. We're going to do another feel good stretch. Just lengthen your legs down to the floor, reach your arms way back overhead, and stretch through your abdomen again. Now bring your hands back down. We're going to roll to our side. So we're going to do our side leg series here. You're going to line yourself up down the back edge of your mat, and your legs are going to go forward slightly. So with this one, you have some options, two options for your spine. You can just stay propped up like this at a diagonal on your elbow, or you can go all the way down onto the floor. But still, your spine should be lined up at the back edge of the mat. If you're up on your elbow, you want to try to make your obliques work by not sinking down and just hanging out. You got to push the floor away, lift up out of the shoulder, narrow the waistline like you're wearing this tight corset around your waist. Keep the lower leg tight, strong working leg, and you're going to lift and lower the top leg. Point and flex. Inhaling and exhaling. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Keep those lower legs still a working leg. Don't let it get lazy. Keep trying to lift the waistline up away from the floor so we don't sag our spine down. We're trying to keep that long straight line through our spine. Now point the foot, hold the leg at hip height, and just draw little circles. Now you're going to flex the foot and go in the opposite direction, reaching out through the heel, still working the lower leg, still think about pulling up on the pelvic floor. You're breathing, breath is up high in the ribs. Keep the foot flexed, hold it at hip height, and now swing the leg out in front of you and then swing back. You could always take this top hand and help stabilize yourself on the floor, but the goal is to not move anything in your upper body as that top leg kicks forward and back. And you want to feel the stretch in the back side of the leg, and then as you go back, you feel like you're strengthening your glutes, still focus on keeping your upper body stable. If you feel like you're swaying in the upper body, you're not maintaining that core control. We'll just do one more, kick forward and last kick back. Now bring the legs together, also draw them back so you're in a straight line from head to toe. Go all the way down to the floor. So this one, to challenge your balance, take that top arm over your hip, but you could put it on the floor if you feel too wobbly. Take it over your hip, make sure your head is down on the lower arm. Both legs are gonna lift and lower. Squeeze the inner thighs together, pulling the belly in. Think long, straight legs. Exhale with every lift. Just do two more, and the second one is always going to be harder here. We're going to lift and hold it. Now stay up as the top leg goes up and down. Hopefully still breathing. Pulling the shoulders down, pulling the shoulder blades together. Draw the navel in deeper. Do one more, and then you can rest back down. Now we're going to come over to the other side. So if you propped yourself up onto the elbow on the other side, try to do the same on this side. Spine is lined up with the back edge. Legs are forward slightly, and the top leg goes up and down. Pointing as you lift, flexing as you lower. Lower leg is still a working leg. Don't let it get lazy. Keep pushing the floor away through this lower arm. So you're not sinking into the shoulder, trying to push away from the floor. Imagine you're in this tight corset or belt around your waist, pointing and flexing. I know a lot of people think that I can get really high with that leg when you go up and down, but you'll notice that your spine wants to sag down when that leg goes too high. So really you can only take that leg as high as possible without moving anything in your upper body. Now hold the leg at hip height, reach the toes, and draw little circles. Still think longer leg, almost like somebody's pulling you from the ankle and lengthening that leg, reaching out of the hip. Keep pushing the floor away that lower arm. Flex the foot and go in the opposite direction, reaching out through the heel, drawing those circles in reverse. Still, lower leg is a working leg. Constantly doing this full body scan. Think about every muscle group is working hard. You're always pulling up on the pelvic floor, always singing deep lateral rib cage breathing. Hold the leg at hip height with a flexed foot. You're going to swing forward and back. Now, as you're doing this motion in this top hip, nothing else in the upper body should be moving. Keep the lower arm strong. Keep the lower leg tight and strong. Think of that lower leg as your anchor. Flex and point. Every time that leg goes back behind you, you want to squeeze the glutes. Hopefully when the leg kicks forward, you feel a hamstring stretch. You have one more forward kick, last kick back, and then bring the legs together. So in this one, you're going to draw the legs back, you're going to be in a straight line, and you're lowering all the way down so you can rest the lower arm. If you don't need the top hand in front of you, drape it over your hip, and then both legs lift and lower. You got to balance on that lower hip. Reach up to the top of the head, down to the toes. Focus on gluing the inner thighs together. Still shrugging shoulders down out of the ears. Now lift both legs and hold them up. Just move the top leg. Still think longer, straighter legs. Still breathing. Do one more and then you can finally rest back down. Now we're going to flip onto your stomach. This one we're going to go into a whole swan series. We're strengthening the back side of our body now. You're just going to start off with what I call baby swan. Your hands are down by your side, legs are straight back, shoulders shrugged down out of the ears, and you're just going to lift the rib cage up and then fall back down. So to avoid cheating, you can bring your hands up off the floor with you, or if you know that you're only using your back, it's okay if you rest your hands down. Just don't use your arms to lift yourself up. Trying to strengthen your back. So as you're lifting the rib cage, don't let your abdomen push downward into the mat. You're always trying to pull the belly away from the floor. Do one more lift up and then hold it here. As we're lifted, you're going to keep your neck in neutral. So not looking up. I know you might need to look at the camera a little bit, but try to keep your neck in neutral. Lift the legs up and then do little beats. Shoulders still shrugged down, still breathing. Try to keep those legs up a little higher if you can. Now open the legs about mat width apart, drop them to the floor, keep them down. Hands are on the floor and you're going to lift the rib cage up now. So you come all the way up for our full swan and then lower back down. So keep the tops of the feet on the floor. Don't try to lift the legs. They are still long and reaching back, so they still are working. Make sure your abs are still tight and pulled in, lifting and lower. We'll do one more. Deep breath up high in the rib cage and then resting back down. So now the next one, you're going to bring your hands in front of your head so you have some neck support. Lift both legs up and hold it, and now we're going to swim the legs. Keep reaching those legs back and long. Now if you can do the full swimming, we are going to make our upper body work hard too, but feel free just to keep your head down. If you can, lengthen those arms, lift the rib cage, and now start moving the arms with the legs. Still breathing, shoulders shrugged down. Reaching longer limbs. Now hold everything still, lift a little higher, and then you can finally rest back down. Now pick up your hips, come into a little child's pose stretch, rounding your spine. Now we are going to stay kneeling on this one. This is a thigh stretch. So when you're on your knees are right underneath your hips, so they're hip width apart, hands are down by your side, roll the shoulders down and back, pull the belly in, and we're trying to maintain a straight line from shoulders down to your knees. You're going to hinge back from the knees and then return forward. So you can do this with your feet flat on the floor, or you could curl your toes under if the arches cramp up. If this feels better, you could do the feet curled under. So what you don't want to happen is arching, thinking, wow, I'm really hinging. No, you're just extending. But we're trying to hinge from the knees so you feel the thighs working. They're going to be stretched and worked. You should feel the front of your thighs and your abs. Falling back and 4, Keep pulling the shoulder blades together. Let's do one more, but this one, I always make you hold it. So fall back, hold. Keep yourself here, activate those inner thighs. You're pulling up on the pelvic floor, your shoulders are rolling down and back. Hinge your back a little bit more if you can. Stay in that long straight line, and then you're gonna pull forward and you can relax for a moment. We're gonna stay on our knees, but now turn and face towards the long edge of your mat. At least I have to turn. You're gonna do some kneeling leg kicks here. So kind of like we did on our side laying on the floor, we're gonna do a kneeling version. So your arms reach out to the side, tip over onto one hand, opposite leg reaches long, and then you're gonna lift and lower this leg. Try to get that leg as high as you can. Top arm is strong and reaching. You could put it behind your head. You could put it on your hip. I always cue people, if your hand is on your hip, make sure you feel your abs tight underneath your fingertips. Let's do 3 more. And then when you come back down with the leg, hold it, and then we get to do a little side bend stretch. Come back up. We're gonna go to the other side. So reaching long, a little bit of wrinkle on my mat. You're gonna tip over and lengthen. Lift and lower the top leg. Keep this lower arm strong, pushing the floor away. Reaching top arm to the ceiling. You could bring it behind your head, or again, hand on your hip. Tighten your abs underneath the fingers. Try to lift that leg as high as you can. Still breathing. Now drop the leg, and then take that arm way overhead for a stretch. So those little stretches are good little preps for a side bend stretch. So this one takes a little bit of balance. Your feet are gonna be at one end of the mat, hand is at the top end of the mat. One arm is gonna be reaching overhead. It's kind of like a side plank, side bend stretch, so it takes some balance. Just remember the top leg is in front of the lower leg. So when you're ready, you're gonna lift up and stretch out. Slowly lower yourself down. You could do this on your elbow as well. As another option, you could do it on your elbow and your knee and do a smaller one. Or you can keep the knee down and do this on your hand and stretch. I'm gonna do the full again 2 more times. Still breathing. I want to do at least 3 of these, but with those other modifications that I did, I might have gotten more. We're gonna swing to the other side. Remember, top leg is in front, ankles are touching, and your feet are really close to the bottom edge of the mat. Top hand is way at the top, and then you're gonna lift up and balance. Lowering back down. Take a deep breath, lifting that rib cage to the ceiling, and rest. So I did 3 on that side. You could always do more if you wanted to. But we're gonna turn and face toward the top of your mat again. So this one, we're gonna go into teaser. So teaser is that V-sit, this, where we're trying to build to. And I'm gonna progress to it. So start back onto your back, kind of how we started at the beginning of the class. Knees are bent, feet are flat. But you do want to walk those feet down away from the mat as far as they'll go, but still with knees bent, feet flat. Arms are gonna be straight to the ceiling. Once your legs are in the position, glue them together to make the inner thighs work. And now don't move the legs. We're just gonna focus on your spine. You're gonna bring head and shoulders off the floor. If you get to here and you can't go any further, that's fine. You can just hold, but if you can, continue to come all the way up and reach, and then rolling right back down, arms to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in, chin to your chest, peel your spine up, and then lifting. Now you could just keep going with this, but if you could work a little harder, we're gonna add a leg extension. We'll do 2 on the right and then 2 on the left. So spine comes up, leg extends, take a deep breath, and then as the spine goes down, the leg lowers down. Do 1 more with the right leg. Curling up and reaching, and then rolling back down. We'll do 2 with the left. Exhale as you come up, hold at the top for a deep breath up high in the ribs, and then exhale, rolling back down. 1 more. Holding for the deep breath, and then exhale, rolling down. Now if you like those, keep going with those, alternating if you want, or do a couple on each side. We're gonna go a little harder. Start with tabletop legs now. As the spine comes up, the legs extend. Again, it's fine if it's just head and shoulders come up and your legs extend from here, but if you can, you're gonna bring everything up into that full teaser. Take a deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down. Legs return to tabletop. We'll do it again 2 more times like that. Extending the legs to straight, hold for a deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down. You have one more. Hold and breathe, and then slowly resting back down. Now for the full teaser, we're gonna do 3 of these. The hardest version is legs straight down onto the floor. Arms are straight up to the ceiling, shoulders shrug down. When you're ready, head and shoulders come up, and then spine and legs lift up. Hold at the top for a deep breath. As you roll down, bring chin to your chest, roll your spine down slow so that spine and legs fall at the same time. Going again, take a deep breath, exhale, lift. Hold for the teaser, deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down. So hopefully spine and legs land at the same time. I'll do it again. Head and shoulders come up first. Exhale as you lift. Once you're up in the teaser, take a deep breath up high in the rib cage. Keep chin to your chest as you roll your spine back down to the floor, and then you can finally relax. Just stretching, lifting the rib cage, and then take a little breath. You can bring your hands up by your side. Bend your knees. You're going to bring them up just to where you can cross one ankle of the opposite knee, and then hug it into your chest for a stretch. We'll do the same hip stretch on the other side, crossing ankle over knee, and then pull it into your chest and stretch. Now uncross the legs just a moment. We're going to cross right knee over left knee. I call this sitting like a lady position. You're going to, since the right leg is on top, you're going to drop the legs of the left. And then you're going to twist and look out over your opposite arm. Kind of feels like you're wringing the air out of the lungs. And then you're going to come to the other side. So now we're crossing left leg over right and dropping the legs to the right. And then twisting, looking out over the shoulder. Now when you come back to center, you're going to hug your legs in, rock yourself up to seated, and we're going to go into mermaid next. So mermaid will be our last one before we finish. So mermaid, you're going to sit in this Z-sit position. Try to keep your hips as close to being sit bones on the floor as possible. I know a lot of people have tight hips and your hips are real high up off the floor. So in this one, you're trying to keep your pelvis in this position as you're tipping over for mermaid, rocking your rib cage from side to side. Then we add the arms to it where you stretch over and then pull up and stretch this way. Taking a deep breath up high in the rib cage. We'll do one more, but then hold the stretch when we're in it and stay here. So we're kind of stretching out over, away from the legs. I want you to twist and look at the floor. Twist back to face front, and then lift up and stretch into the legs. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So swinging the legs around to the other side. Keep your hips where they are. Hand down and then fall over and stretch. And then come back up and stretch in the opposite direction. Taking deep breath up high in the rib cage. And stretch. We'll do one more. Deep breath. This one we hold and you add the twist. Twist back and then come all the way back up. Good job. Sit with soles of the feet together. Your knees are wide. Lean into the legs. Just stretch and breathe. Sit tall however you're comfortable. Shrug shoulders up and down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Now hopefully you keep your shoulders down.